Hi, good morning and good evening to everyone. Welcome to Mainframe tutorial. This is Kumar. You're watching COBOL tutorial 9. In my last video, I gave you the important information about the file and its important usage in the mainframe world. So we know that a file is a collection of records and fields. So based on the usage of files, files are categorized into three types: sequential file, an index file, and relative files. So in this video, below are the topics which I would like to share with you all. The first one will be the sequential file, what is exactly the index file, relative file, the sample COBOL program to code sequential index relative files, and how do we entering the records in a sequential index relative files, how do we retrieve the record from sequential file, how to retrieve record from index and relative files, and how do we modify the records, how to delete the records from sequential file, and in the same way how to delete the records from index and relative files. So let's go ahead and start with the sequential files. As we all know that sequential files is entering the records sequentially. It consists of records where records are entered in physical sequential order. As records are inserted in physical sequential order, records can be accessed sequentially. Sequential file allows duplicate records and no direct access. So it means you can write a duplicate records in a sequential file. Example, in my first record is 1 2 3 4 5 and second record is 6 7 8 9. In the same way I can enter one more record with the same duplicate. So sequential files are used to transfer data from one program to another program, one system to other system. It's so simple, right? So next one is indexed file. It also consists of records where records are entered on indexed sequential order. That is, for every record insertion, index is created with the help of record key. With the help of every record now is associated with the record key, which is the index file. Record key is uniquely identified row, does not contain null values, duplicate rows. See, in a sequential file there is a chance of writing a duplicate records. For an index there will be no duplicate records and it also doesn't have any null values. Record key is always part of record. This is very important note. Record key can contain single or multiple fields. So that was about the indexed file. And coming to the relative file, it also consists of records where records are entered based on relative record number. That is, for every record number, relative number is created based on address of record, that is RBA. Whereas in indexed file we have an index, whereas in relative file based on the address, relative of address, we are going to retrieve the record. One of the best advantages, as relative record number generated, relative number of files access sequentially, randomly and dynamically. We can access in three of these ways, either sequentially, randomly or dynamically. Unused storage space created when record is deleted from relative files. This is, if there is any unused storage space, so relative files will clear the space. Now let's see how to COBOL program code to sequential, index and relative files. So we all know that there is environment division, working storage section, and after creating and the FD in the input output section. So you need to code this. What I'm doing is just I'm having a claim file assigned to disk, where the organization, if you are using a sequential file, you need to use organization sequential. If it is an index, you need to use indexed. If it is a relative, then you need to use a relative. So, and also the same thing, access mode, how you are going to access it, either sequentially, indexed or relative mode. That is the reason, this is the point you need to mention while declaring a file in the input output section. In the same way, if you are using a indexed or relative, so The record key is claim number. It is mainly used for indexed. If you are using an indexed file, relative key is ws1 or something other variable. So when you are using the relative, it points to address, it points to relative address, it points to the key index. So how that was about the basic structure or organization we code for a file. I mean, how do you declare in the file declaration or the input output section for both sequential index and relative files. So entering your records in a sequential index relative files. So as usual, the procedure division: open. First you need to open output claim file, move 1 to I, perform until I greater than 10. This is for simple sequential file. Accept claim number, claim statement, claim type, write claim records, add 1 to 1 and perform close file. This is for sequential file or a simple file. What I'm doing is I'm trying to open the claim file. I wanted to enter 10 records into the claim file. So what I need to do, I have to open the file in a output mode. I have opened the file in output mode pointing to the claim file. Claim file might be internally associated with the disk, and disk in the JCL associated with the actual physical file. So I will use a simple perform here. Simple perform until I greater than 10, accept claim number, accept claim straight, and accept claim type, then claim record, add 1 to I, and perform. After entering all the 10 records, then I need to close the claim file. So this is the single sequential file. Retrieving records from sequential file. Open input claim file. So you need to open mode with the input in order to retrieve the records from sequential file. You have to open it in input mode. In order to write the records, you need to open in output mode. In order to read and write, you need to open in input output mode, or I mean if you want to modify input output mode. So now I'm trying to retrieve the record from a sequential file, so I use input mode. Read command is an input operation and file has to be opened in input mode. Read command is coded with @end, not end clause. @end clause is to identify end of file. End of file will be executed when read command identifies no records or n+1 records if there are n records. Not at end clause will be executed when read retrieved successfully. So these two classes are very important when you work with the files concept in your real time. So this plays a very key role in the files concept. So let's read the file and see uses of both @end and not @end class. Open input a claim file. Now move n to end of the file. Perform until end of the file equal to y. Read claim file. @end move y to end of the file. No. Now I said like @end can occur when it reaches the last record of the file. So that's the reason initially I'm declaring move n to end of the file, so I can perform until end of the file equal to y. Here the situation is I don't know how many records are existed in the input file. So this is the best key to know the end of the file. So that's the reason I'm declaring n to the end, moving n to the end of the file and performing until end of the file y. So read claim file. If it is a end, move y to end of the file. Not at end, yes. If claim status equal to 3, display claim record, and if and read and perform close read. So what I am doing here is whenever all the claim status equal to 3, then I am trying to display those records. Or else you can do many things. If your employee number equal to so and so number, or display, I mean it depends on your program and it depends on your process. I just try to get simple example over here. So display claim record and if, then end read, then end form. Don't forget to close the file, so don't forget to stop run. So this was about how to read the file in the input mode or retrieving the record from a sequential file. So how to retrieve a records from indexed and relative files? So as I said, you need to pass a relative record number or a key number or a key. So I'm move 4 to the relative record key and move 40 to the claim number. Read claim file, invalid key. If it is an invalid key, then display not found. Not invalid key, display found, and read. This is simple. So you need to follow the same syntax over here, but you are passing a key. But this key clause will be an extra. Read claim file, invalid key, display not found. Before read command, key always must be supplied. So if you are not supplying a key, it goes into an error. So how to change the records, or how do we update the records? So this is something, and the last tips we have seen about how do we open a file and write a records into a file, and how do we read a file and display those record, or do a sort of processing or evaluating the input file. So how do you change the records in a sequential file? How do you modify a records in the sequential file? I need to open with IO mode. Open IO claim file, move end to end of the file, perform until end of the file equal to Y. Read claim file at end, move Y to end file, not at end. If claim type equal to ABC, move hash number to claim type. Rewrite. Here rewrite is the important command when you're trying to modify an existing file. And the open mode is always IO mode, but we don't use it maximum, but it is important to know in real time. So rewrite claim record and if and perform and close claim file. In the same way, now we have done with how do we open the file, how to read a file, and how do we modify a file. Now how to delete a record from a sequential file. Can it be possible to delete a record from a sequential file? Let's see what happens here. No direct delete can be applied, but record can be applied in two techniques. One, rewriting with spaces against a record which is to be deleted. So in order to delete the record, you need to open in a highway mode. So move end to end of the file, perform until end of the file equal to Y. Read claim file at end, move Y to end of the file, not at end. If claim number equal to 2000, move spaces to claim record, then rewrite claim record. So here it says like just I'm moving a passing a value spaces to the record, it means deleted. So but logically physically we cannot delete the records in a sequential file. And open input clean file, retrieve record from input files and writing into output. So this is the second method, retrieving a record from input files and writing into output files except record which is to be deleted. So open output claim file to open output input claim file 1, then move end to end of the file, then you just skip whatever the records you don't want to write. I'll move claim record to claim record 2, write claim record 2. So now you have successfully deleted the record by copying from one file to another file, and just after copying it, just rename the file, just delete the existing file and rename the new file to the existing file. Don't forget to close the files. So next, deleting records from indexed and relative files. How do we? So you all know that you need to pass a key value. So move 4 to the WSRR number and move 40 to claim. Delete claim file. Invalid key, display not found. Not invalid, display found. So this is the way we delete it, right? In indexed we can delete it directly, whereas in sequential you cannot delete. So in sequence, in index, since you know the key value or the key record value, you can directly delete it. So now we will come to the evaluation of the COBOL commands. So there should be a certain kinds of error handling or validations done whenever you open a file, or whenever you write a file into the whenever you write a records into the file. So how do you know that whether the file is existing or the open has been successfully done or the write has been successfully created? So in any program, in any language, there should be a certain validation done for any file processing, since file handles a large volume of data and it's very important to handle the situations. So file status is a working storage section. So with this can be done with the file status, so which can track the record number, which gives the return values whenever the file is opened or closed or certain doing an operations. File status is a working storage section variable which will contain system defined numeric number wantable. Again I repeat, status is working storage section variable which will contain system defined numeric number wantable. File status variable must be specified with file status class under select class. File status variable contains value if the file status variable contains value 00 indicates the file is success or exist. File status variable contains value 10 indicates end of the file of a sequential file. So either you can use at end class or you can use 10, that means indicates the end of the file for the sequential file. File status variable contains value 23 row not found. It indicates that row not found or a record not found for an indexed or relative files, and also the same for the sequential file. So we have set of various written codes for the file status. So every input output operation must be evaluated by using if or evaluate statements. So this we will see some example for using the file status. Select claim file assigned to disk, organization is sequential, file status C. I am declaring a file status HWSFSF1. So you need to declare this in a working storage section. Organization, this is when you are giving the file status, it gives some written codes, whatever the code we have, 0 0 0 0 1 2 3 0 0 stands for success, 1 0 indicates that end of the file, and 2 3 indicates record not found or row not found. So data division, working storage, I am declaring F1. So FS1, then open input claim file FWFSFS1 equal to 0 0. It can continue, display error in open WSF1. See, just here I'm trying to check if the file is existing or not, it is able to open or not. Yeah, now I'm displaying error. If it is success, then continue as display error in open FSF1 stop run, and if reclaim file, the same way evaluate true. If WSF1 equal to 0, display success. When WSF1 equal to 10, move Y to the end of the file. See, this is the way here I'm not using at end, but I'm using 10 as a reference to move to identify the end of the file. When other display error in record WSFS F1. So it gives the what is the exact record number. So with this we can come to know that what exactly happened. So sometimes what happens is it can't be an example, but I can give you some example. Like when you go to ATM center, on the left side or in the ATM, there will be a certain set of written codes, written on the wall side. It says like invalid transaction or ATM is server is busy. These kinds of error codes you can see over there. So in the same way, while you work with the file concept, so it throws some error number. So based on that error numbers, the programmer can identify what exactly the issue is, and he can fix those issue. In the same way, the end users also can identify based on the written codes. They will read this particular chart and they will come to know that, oh, this could be the issue or this is happening. So stop run and evaluate. Now next one, write. When I'm trying to write, the claim file. If WSFS1 equal to 0, yes, continue, else display error in write. If it is 0, I can write the data. I mean opening. Now I'm writing the records in the output file. So I need to check whether the output physical file is existing or not. Yes. If it is yes, then I will write it. Else throw an error state. So that was about all about the files concept and how do we use in real time, and the various operations like what is relative file, what is sequential file, what is indexed file, and how do we open, how do we write, how do we rewrite, how do we delete, and how do we process the file handling, the file status, and everything we have seen. Now let's see a sample COBOL program using files. So it would be a complete COBOL program here using this is focusing on sequential file. So you'll be giving in your identification division, the program ID, the file basic, author, date written, date compiled, environment division, input output section. In this the file control, select working stored assigned to answer, trying to work with the employee table, file status is WSN file switch. So data division. Now this is my file, the file. Now I have a record with certain length 8 plus 15 40 50 60. Yeah, this is has certain record length of I input employee record, which is having certain fields like first 8 bytes is employee ID and second 15 bytes is employee name, and I am trying to fill up with remaining is blank. So in working storage section, I will have a working storage temporary variables defined in order to handle the file status. So I give values WSN file success equal to 00 and file end of the file equal to 10. So WS input record employee ID employee name filler end of the file switch. So this is for switching. So procedure division 1000 main para perform, 2000 open para, 2000 exist, 2000. So in this main para I'm having, what I'm doing is I'm trying to open, read the data, insert the data and close the file. Open file and read input from the file, insert the records into the file and then close a file. So first it will go to the 2000 para and it will go search, initialize WSN file search, WS employee rec and WS initializing. I'm initializing everything here. So open output WSN file. First I need to open the file and check the validation. If WSN file success, display file open successful, else display file opening error, then go to exit. So it directly goes to the exit and it skips all this performs and everything. And if 2000 exit, every perform statement should have the start and exit. So in the same way, in my next step is when it says exit, it goes to the here, and the next statement is the perform 3000 input para. It goes to this accept WSI input ID. Now it reads the data. It reads the data from the input file, or it will on the console area where they will be entering the employee ID, employee name. Now I'm taking only the two, employee ID and employee name. So display employee ID and employee name. So I have accepted the input para and it goes like this. Next thing is now I need to write the records into the files. So here it will go to the 4000 para. So what I'm doing is copy, go to 4000 para, sorry, no, it should go to 4000 insert para, yes. So there was a full stop, no problem. So it goes to the 4000 insert para, write IMP record from WS input, right? Now we have stored the data into the working storage. From working storage it goes to the actual physical file. So when it says IMP record, it goes to here. This is pointed to end file and this is pointed to actual physical table. So it writes the data in this way. So this is how the write happens. After writing it, now the next step would be the close para. So it directly closed paras and it will close the data. So close the files. So How was it? So this is the simple COBOL program using the files concepts. I hope you all have enjoyed this video. So just to recap, what are the things? What are the few various things we have learned today in our class? So just started with what are the different files we use, like sequential file, index file, relative files, and the COBOL program to code sequential, index, relative files, and entering records in a sequential, index, relative files, how to retrieve a record from sequential file, and how to retrieve record from index and relative files, and how to modify the records, how to delete the record from sequential file, and how to delete it in the same way with the record from index and relative files, and the sample COBOL program using a sequential file. So this is what about the files in COBOL. Thank you for watching. Have a great and